PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
She just goes a little mad sometimes.
Do you ever feel like you're normal and the rest of the world has lost its collective mind?
Put your helmet on. We'll be reaching speeds of 3.
Do you find people saying this to you a lot?
Are you totally deranged?
Are you looking for a looking glass to pass through?
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Or looking for a rabbit hole to fall down?
Who could think of a better punishment, really? Everything's the same here. It's just a little worse.
Guess what?
Life's a bitch. Now so am I.
You've found it. Welcome to Platinum Rose's Garden.
Hello, my darlings. This is Platinum Rose Lady welcoming you to Platinum Rose's Garden on Sunday, May 7th, 2017. Sorry, a little late this week, kids. Had a couple of other issues I had to take care of yesterday, but I'm back now. As you can tell, my voice is still a little bit on the funky side. Sorry about that. Between this cold, which will not go the fuck away, and just sinus issues with the spring and all that stuff like that, my voice is still a little bit weird. Sorry. It's spring, finally, in New England. I think we're pretty much done with the snow for the year. Hooray! We should be, considering it's May and all that. But we did have a snowstorm one year on April 1st, so I'm not holding my breath. Although it's a typical, May in Massachusetts, where, you know, you're leaving work for the day, and it's like, hey, it's kind of looking like it's not raining outside, and you go outside and sploosh. You know, there's like, you know, an inch and a half of rain on the ground, and you're totally soaked between getting out the door and going to your bus. So that's fun. But, you know, it's good for the grass and all that, so that's good. I hope everybody had a good week. My week was pretty okay. I know everybody down in Australia had a great weekend this weekend, because it's Monday now in Australia or something. I hate datelines. It's math. It hurts. Because you guys had the All Hell's Broken Loose con this weekend, and I know you guys had an awesome time. You got to see everybody and meet some great people and have so much fun. As I've said before, supernatural cons are really, really awesome. I've only been to one, unfortunately, back in 2011, but my time on there will live on in infamy on YouTube. Just, you know, if you ever want to see what I'm talking about, go to my Twitter, PlatinumRoselle.com. Platinum Roselle at Twitter.com. It's pinned up there, because some of us have no filter and absolutely no shame, and sometimes that gets you hugged. Yay! I haven't been to a con recently, though. We used to go to a lot of cons. There used to be a lot more cons, it seems like. I don't know what the deal is, but back in the 80s and 90s and stuff, there seemed to be a lot more cons in Massachusetts. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't found them all. I don't know, or whatever. The first con I ever went to was a Star Trek convention, and I had such a good time. If you've never been to a con, you should definitely go. They're just a lot of fun. I mean, they are expensive. It's, you know, it's a little pricey, but you have a great time. You meet a lot of new people. You make a lot of friends. It's really cool when you meet people that you've talked to online at a con, especially when you don't know what's going to happen. That happened to me at the Supernatural Con. Somebody called out my name, and I was like, do I owe them money? What is this about? But it was like, oh my gosh, it's you. And it was like, that was exciting and fun. And I love meeting people. I like to meet people, which is weird because I was not like that in school. I don't know it's really funny when you look back on the person you were and the person you are now. I mean, some people don't change, and if you're happy with the person that you were and the person you are now, you know, that's great. I changed so much from high school, because high school I was painfully, ridiculously, unbelievably, pathologically shy. And nobody believes that. Nobody who knows me now believes that. They are totally like, no, you weren't. And I'm like, yeah, I was, really. I was this complete walking ball of angst, loathing, self-loathing, daddy issues, and hair. I was a fucking mess. I mean, I'm still a mess, but I'm much better with it now. You know, I've like lived with being a mess now. I'm like, I'm fine with being a mess. I'm happy with it. Cause I'm totally not what anyone would consider normal. And you know what? I am so fine with that. I am so fine with that. And I hope everybody out there who isn't normal, I hope you're fine with it too. I mean, there's obviously levels of not normal that aren't good. I mean, you know, there's like, you know, wacky, whimsically eccentric, not normal like me. And then there's, you know, like friggin' Norman Bates level not normal. I mean, that's obviously not good. But, you know, if you're the weirdo in your family, if you're the strange one in your family, fucking own it, man. You know, that's always been my thing. Fucking own it. I tell people I'm not the black sheep in my family. I'm the Paisley sheep that's like rocking back and forth and banging its head against the wall. That's me. And I'm totally fine with that. And I hope you are too. Okay. So enough self-realization and all that Dr. Phil crap stuff. Let's get to this week's Supernatural episode recap.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest.
Season 12, Episode 20 of Supernatural, Twigs and Twine and Tasha Baines. The Then is dealing with a lot of stuff. I mean, it's late in the season, so there's a lot to cover. The Then is dealing with witches and what we know about witches and the fact that most witches get their powers from demons, although there are some natural witches out there, people that they can tap naturally into the power of magic. And we also get reintroduced to the Baines family, who we saw first in the episode celebrating the life of Asa Fox. Hunters and twins, Max and Alicia Baines, whose mother was a witch, and they are both hunters, and at least we know that Max is also a witch as well. We're dealing with the British men of letters and the fact that they have basically declared a covert war on the American hunters, and they have also bugged the Batcave where Sam and Dean live. And the things that happened in last week's episode, including the destruction of the cult by Dagon, and the destruction of Dagon by Castiel, who was powered by the baby that is living inside of Kelly Klein right now, the baby who is part Archangel because Kelly wound up sleeping with Lucifer, although she didn't know it at the time. And Castiel saying that the baby must be born with all of his powers, which doesn't sound like a really good thing for the rest of us. And now we are at Now. And Now is a boarding house in Rock River, Wyoming. We see a lady driving up to the house in one of those little smart cars that every time I see one of those, all I hear is circus music. And she goes into the house. There's a woman knitting in a rocking chair who tells her that she has to ring the bell to get service. Tasha comments on the woman's ring, and the woman makes a remark about if the ring is stolen, she'll know who to come to. Tasha is more polite than I would have been at that, and offers to clear the woman's aura because she says it looks muddy. The young man who is the desk clerk named Andy helps her to sign in. He seems like a very polite sort. We see Tasha in her room that night. We know Tasha is a natural witch who practices good magic, so she's a good witch, according to Glinda. And she is doing a revealing spell, and the spell brings her to a storm, one of those storm cellars where you lock yourself in if there's like a tornado or some shit. She gets the door opened, wrinkles her nose at the smell, goes inside, and winds up being stabbed in the stomach from behind with some kind of a blade, stabs right through her stomach. And we get the opening credits. We cut back to the Bat Cave in Lebanon, Kansas, where Sam and Dean have obviously recovered from being knocked out last week by Cass, and they're talking about what happened last week, that, Castiel is saying had said all this stuff about how the baby needs to be born at full power and stuff like that. And, Dean and Sam are definitely worried about Cass. Dean telling Sam that wasn't Cass, that the baby was like talking through him. He doesn't think that was really Cass talking. And that Castiel had said that he had faith in the baby. And Dean also saying that when he looked at Cass, he didn't know him, which I was like, wow. Sam puts the remains of the cult on the table and unwraps them and says he's going to try his best to repair the cult. They hear a phone ring, but they realize it's neither of their cell phones. It turns out that it's one of their mother Mary's phones. It's a call from Alicia Baines, who is calling them, letting them know that their mom is missing and hasn't checked in with them, that she was on a hunt and hunting for a witch. Max is standing off to the side and sort of not buying, he's kind of very dismissive of his sister's concerns. Sam says they'll come and help them out, even though Alicia had called looking for Mary. Dean's kind of at first like, we can't do this. We need to deal with Cass. Sam honestly tells him, we're just sitting here spinning our wheels, banging our heads against the wall. They don't know where Cass is. They don't know how to find him. He's ditched his cell phone. Jody's got an APB out on Cass in several states. And then Sam says what he needs to say to get Dean to go along with this, when he says, their mom's on a hunting trip and hasn't been home in a week. Nice spin on the line from the pilot. We cut to, before we do that, before we go on to, we have another scene where Dean calls his mom, who doesn't answer her phone. She is working with Mr. Ketch at the Men of Letters base, and they are interrogating a shifter who right now has taken on Mary's form, and Mr. Ketch is interrogating her, Dr. Evil quotes. Excuse me. Dean winds up leaving a message, which also is, a business message, but it's also a message from son to his mom, basically saying that he needs to talk to her, because he's worried and he misses his mom, Totally understandable. Ketch is trying to get information on the shifter's family, and it's not going particularly well. This is one of those enforced interrogations, that stuff that Amnesty International is always bitching about. Ketch looks like he's about one step away from hooking up jumper cables to a battery and going to town. He strikes the shifter, and the shifter takes on his appearance to fuck with his head further, and also speaks in a southern accent, which was weird and also kind of hot. I'm fucked in the head. I admit it. My libido is just complete. Freud would have a field day with me. I don't know what it is about watching this other Ketch all bloodied and beat up, but boy, that really melted my butter. Anyway, moving forward, the Winchesters meet up with Max and Alicia. Max is still, kind of hand-waving Alicia's concerns. It turns out that what was going on with their mom, Tasha was following a borrower witch. Now, those of you who don't remember, I will enlighten. A borrower witch is a witch who gets her magic power from a deal with a demon. You know, she sells her soul to the demon, and the demon grants her magic abilities. The problem with this kind of a deal is that, you know, as deals do, they come due. And when the witch dies, her soul will automatically go to hell. Which we found out from Ruby way back in the day. That's how Ruby became a demon. That, you know, she was once a human witch who sold her soul for magic power, went to hell, was tortured, and eventually became a demon. Tasha and Max, as it turns out, are both natural witches. They get their power naturally, which natural witches are more rare than anything else. There's natural witches, borrower witches, and learned witches, people that learn how to be a witch. Alicia, from the sound of it, is more of a learned witch, although she tends to rely more on weaponry than actual magic. She tells Sam that both her mom, Tasha, and Max are natural witches. Sam's talking with Alicia about, you know, parents and relationships, and also Sam talks a little bit about his past and Dean's past, and how he and Dean and his dad had more of a bond going than Sam had with his dad. While this is going on, Max is over with Dean looking in the Impala's trunk and looking at the rocket launcher and all that, the grenade launcher and all that stuff like that, and Dean has such this wistful look on his face when talking about the grenade launcher that's kind of like, someday I'm going to use you look. You know, to quote Dot Warner, boys. Anyway, the arrival at the boarding house, when the Winchesters and the Baines show up, there is a rather creepy looking guy leaving the storm cellar. We see him leave the storm cellar and kind of glare over at the Winchesters and the Baines, to which Max responds to basically like, no, that's not creepy at all. They go inside and they're greeted by Tasha, who seems surprised but happy to see them. And we know as the audience, that's not Mom. She tells them that everything's okay. She tells them that, you know, she asks the desk clerk, Andy, if he can get rooms ready for her kids and their friends, and offers to bring them up to her room to have some wine and to talk. While she's talking with them, she's trying to open the wine bottle, and at one point damages her finger, and manages to hide from the Winchesters and her children, when she cracks her finger back into place. This is obviously not Tasha. This is obviously not a human being. Sam offers to go get food from a vegan restaurant that Tasha orders from but doesn't do delivery. We cut back to Mary and Mr. Ketch leaving the room where the shifter was. From the way that they're talking, it sounds like the shifter was probably tortured to death, or at least incapacitation, but I'm leaning more toward death by Mr. Ketch, who seems to be having a raging boner from the fact that he just killed and or tortured a being, and wants to go get intimate with Mary, because that's the first thing you want to do after you torture somebody, if you're a raging fucking psychopath. Mary, needless to say, is not of the take me now frame of mind, and is starting to realize that she might be in way the fuck over her head. As they separate, Mr. Ketch makes a remark to Mary that she should call Dean, tossing in a remark at the end about that she wouldn't want Dean to think that Mommy didn't love him. And I was like, you prick. We see Dean checking his phone while he's in the room, and there's actually no message, so she hasn't called him yet. Dean starts talking with who he thinks is Tasha about family and about the kids, and he tells her that she raised Max and Alicia really well, that they're great kids. And she kind of hand waves it, and they talk for a little more, and she says that family is complicated and that, parents always seem like when you're younger, your parents always seem like they know everything, which is true. You always think that your parent, when you're very small, at least from my point of view, you think that your parents know everything and that they're always right and stuff like that. And then you grow up and you realize they're not always right and they're not always perfect, but, such is life, as they say. We see Mary listening to the voicemail that Dean left her, and she's standing close to Mr. Ketch's, where Mr. Ketch is talking on the phone with somebody in the office that Mick was using, and he's talking about a package that is down in the armory with a specific number, and whoever he's talking to is supposed to be arriving soon. To quote every single Star Wars movie ever, I have a bad feeling about this, end quote. The thing is, as she's standing outside, her phone starts to vibrate from an incoming call from Dean, and Ketch looks up, and you're like, oh crap, did he hear that? She comes in, makes it like she wasn't standing outside listening. She says that she's surprised to see him in Mick's office, and she says that she uses Mick's computer for email. Mr. Ketch tells her to go right ahead. She sits down, logs in, and there's an email from Mick, allegedly, saying that he's going to be in London, that he's been called back and going to be in London a little longer. Mary, needless to say, isn't buying it. Sam comes back with food from the vegan place, tells Dean that he needs to come out in the hall. Dean goes out in the hall without bringing his phone. Sam also has some news besides food. Sam shows Dean a missing persons picture. The missing persons picture, as it turns out, is a gentleman that looks an awful lot like the gentleman that we saw coming out of the storm cellar. According to this picture, this guy named Rick has been missing for a little bit. So if he's missing, who's the guy coming out of the storm cellar? Interesting question. Sam and Dean decide they're going to go check this out, and this guy's been obviously been missing. Rick's been missing for a month, so we see the woman that we saw earlier downstairs, the lady that was knitting. We see her in her room of the boarding house, and she is putting together some kind of a figure that looks like about the size of a human. It looks like it's made out of twigs and twine. Almost like some kind of a doll kind of a figure. Which wouldn't be creepy enough except for the fact that she's also humming the song Mockingbird while she's doing it, which makes it even worse. We see Mary calling Dean, leaving him a message where she says that she's sorry that she hasn't been there for them, both of them, Sam and Dean, and she says that she wants to be there for them, that she is going to be there for them. She tells him that she needs to finish this. And she also tells him that she misses the both of them and she loves them. We cut to Sam and Dean outside, and Sam's picking the lock on the door to the storm cellar. Max tells his mom, quote, quote, and Alicia that he's going to be going out on a date with the bartender from the local bar, and leaves with, grabs the keys for Alicia's Jeep and leaves. Sam and Dean get the door open, and they both recoil from the stench. To which Dean first tells Sam, "You go first," and Sam's like, "No." Dean goes first. It turns out that the scent is what we think it is. Bodies in the cellar. Bodies of Rick, and also the desk clerk, Andy, and Tasha Baines. And as the Winchesters take a closer look, they realize that all three of the bodies are missing their hearts. So what the fuck are we dealing with? I mean, we know werewolves steal people's hearts to eat, but that's got, they don't leave the bodies just lying around like that. What the fuck are we dealing? We know we're dealing with witches, but, seriously, this is getting really strange. Max winds up seeing the light in the storm cellar and goes to follow it to check what's going on, and finds Sam and Dean standing over the corpses and seeing his mother's body. He's completely freaked out and, destroyed. We cut back to the Men of Letters base with Mary going to the armory, and she memorized the number that Ketch had said on the phone, and she finds the package, and we don't see what the package is, thank goodness, but she does whisper Mick's name. So we know that it's Mick's corpse. And since we know that Mick got shot in the back of the head by Mr. Ketch, that is not going to be an attractive body. Mary winds up, kind of hiding and making sure that she's not seen by Ketch, who's walking down a hallway. And she slips into a door that she shouldn't be able to get into when another person leaves. She slips in and finds a room of video walls, and the videos are all of her sons. There's video of Sam and Dean, and not only of them, but Sam and Dean's other friends that are hunters, like Garth and Eileen. And she touches the screen that has Dean's picture on it, and she hears Dean's voice, and she can tell that this is some kind of somebody listening to Dean's conversation, and we know it's from the bug that's been planted in the Batcave. Mary calls Dean, leaves him a quick message telling him that something's wrong, and she goes to leave the room. Door opens up, and there's Mr. Ketch standing outside, and my stomach fell down around my shoes someplace. At first, Ketch tries to lie his way out of the situation, telling her that Mick was shot by a werewolf, because most werewolves carry guns. Oh, no, wait, they don't, because they're fucking werewolves. Mary turns out to be fucking smarter than that shit, and she and Ketch wind up having a very violent fight where Ketch, like most people who cannot, like most psychopaths and supervillains, he can't keep his mouth shut about his accomplishments, and starts pretty much humble bragging to her that he's been cleaning up after the Winchesters for months, that he killed the agents, the federal agents in the prison where Sam and Dean were held, that he killed the girl that Sam and Dean let live from the episode American Nightmare. He tells her that they're sloppy, and she tells him, "I think you mean decent." And he also tells her that there's, basically he tells her that he can save her from what's coming. He doesn't tell her flat out that the British Men of Letters are going to start hunting American hunters, but I think Mary can figure that out on her own. And she's having absolutely none of it. And when she slips on a pair of brass knuckles with Enochian symbols carved into them, Ketch mocks her and brings up the fact that those work on an angel, and he's not. He almost says he's not an angel. Yeah, we totally figured that out, thank you. When she winds up punching him in the groin, because he may not be an angel, but he's still a man. Men still have dicks, and getting a brass knuckle to the Johnson is going to hurt. I don't care who you are. Unless you're Colossus from the X-Men. I'm sorry, I'm a comic nerd. I can't help it. Mary walks by Ketch and almost gets out of the room, but he shoots her in the back. Boy, you're really good at shooting people in the back, aren't you? Total fucking umbrage. And shoots her in the back with a taser, which is obviously ramped up to fry somebody, and knocks her out. Max storms back into the hotel, the boarding house room, Sam and Dean hot on his heels. He attacks what he thinks is his mother while Alicia's screaming at him to stop. And he casts the reveal spell, and Tasha starts telling him where the witch is located, what room she's in. When the Winchesters and Max leave the room, Max is attacked by Rick, one of the other people that are obviously under the witch's control, and Max practices the art of defenestration via magic. For those of you who don't know what defenestration is, that's the act of throwing somebody out a window. Max magically throws Rick out the window. The thing is, when Rick hits the ground, he's not dead, he's just kind of twitching, and this violent sort of twitching action, which is the same thing Tasha's going through. And Sam, who's back in the other room with Alicia, winds up being attacked by desk clerk Andy, or whatever Andy really is. Dean and Max make it to the witch's room. She winds up casting a spell which stops the both of them from attacking her, and Dean's like frozen in a seat, and she pushes her memories into their heads so she can show them what she's planning. It turns out she's been a witch for a very long time, and she's dying, or she's at the end of her life, and she knows that once she dies, she's going to go to hell. But she wants someone to take her powers. And what she's doing is what she's done to Rick and Andy and Tasha is she killed the real Rick, Andy, and Tasha and created these dolls and used this spell and used their hearts for the final component of the spell. And once the heart is put inside the Twigs and Twine doll, the doll looks like the person that the heart was taken from, and they have all of that person's memories, but they are in the control of the witch that cast the spell. So they're kind of like the original version of a zombie mixed with a golem, I suppose would be the best way to, or a golem, I guess, would be the best way to view it. A non-human entity that's been created as kind of like this living automation. The witch winds up offering Max her power, and Dean tells Max that he shouldn't do it, and she uses some kind of spell, and all of a sudden Dean can't speak. Alicia manages to rescue Sam, but when she turns around, her mother, or the doll, is standing in front of her and winds up stabbing her in the stomach. Max seems to be considering taking the deal and taking the witch's ring, which she offers. Dean gets a hold of his gun with the witch killing bullets in it and manages to fatally shoot the witch, who dies almost instantly. And when she dies, the dolls fall apart. They just kind of fall into ash, including Tasha and what they thought was Tasha. Sam's frantically trying to keep Tasha alive and screams out Dean's name. Dean and Max run back into the room, but Alicia is gone, and Max is completely, destroyed. I mean, he just lost his mother and lost his sister. Sam and Dean try to offer him some comfort, trying to tell him that, it's Dean, Sam says that he's in shock, it'll pass, Dean says, and then it's going to hurt. I mean, I know some people might be like, damn, Dean, that was cold, but it's true. I mean, it's the truth. Max says that he'll, that he says he could have saved them if he had taken Alicia seriously. Dean tells him that he shouldn't think that way, and Max asks him to just stop talking. Sam and Dean offer to burn the bodies like Asa's body had been burned. Max says no, he'll do it, and he tells Sam and Dean to leave. We cut to the Impala driving down the road. Sam tells Dean that he did the right thing, that he saved Max from making a terrible decision, and Dean responds that Max seems like he's, really saved. And the thing is, as they're talking, and, as Sam and Dean are talking, with Dean saying that he and Sam have done awful things to save each other, and that's what you do for family, and did Dean make the right decision to stop him? Sam says he's strong, he'll be all right. Dean replies, yeah, I'm not so sure. As they're talking, we see what Max is doing back at the boarding house. We see Max take the witch's ring and put it on. And I'm assuming that means he takes her power, which may be in the ring, I guess, or concentrated in the ring, or her knowledge or whatever. He winds up casting the spell that she used and also taking out his sister's heart and putting it in a doll of his sister. And the doll comes to life. Alicia, the doll Alicia, is very disoriented and says she feels like she drank too much tequila. Max tells her she's all right and that they'll leave soon. He leads her out of the room. He turns and looks back, and his eyes flash purple as the real Alicia's body, which is lying on the bed without her heart, bursts into flames. While all of this is going on, this really amazing song is playing. It's this song called In Peaceful Dreams by C6 Steve. I've never heard this song before. It is really fucking good. We cut back to Dean driving down the road. It's raining. It's dark. Dean's looking over at Sam. Sam's asleep. I mean, he did get the fuck beat out of him, so it's not surprising he's asleep. Dean thumbs through his phone, listens to Mary's first voicemail, which was, sweet and nice. And then listens to the second one, where she says she needs to talk to him, something's wrong. He calls over to Sam. Sam doesn't wake up right away. Maybe Sam's a heavy sleeper. And Dean calls his name again a little louder, and we cut abruptly to Mary getting water splashed in her face. She's strapped in the chair that the shifter was strapped in previously, and being woken up by Mr. Ketch. Her phone starts ringing with Dean calling her, and we see a woman's hand turn the phone off. Ketch tells Mary he gave her a chance. Mary doesn't seem afraid of the idea of dying, because she asks them if they're going to kill her. And we see the person who turned off the phone, Lady Tony Bevel, who tells Mary not to be silly, that she's an asset, that they have other plans for her. She sits down in front of Mary with a notebook and tells her they're going to begin. The episode ends as this noise came out of my throat. I have only made that noise one other time in my life. It was when we saw Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and we see Dolores Umbridge on the screen again. And I made this noise. I didn't mean to make it. This noise came out of my throat like a bear. I've only made that noise one other time, and that's when I saw Tony Bevel again. I think my spirit animal woke up. Don't poke the bear. I thought Twigs and Twine and Tasha Baines was an amazing episode. Directed by Richard Speight Jr. This is his third Supernatural episode that he has directed. The first two being Just My Imagination and Stuck in the Middle with You. Richard is simply amazing and did such an awesome job with this episode. I thought it was really, really fascinating, creepy as hell, and I am going to be really interested to see what happens with Max Baines and Alicia. Now, well, she doesn't know she's not real, Alicia. It's very Blade Runner, the whole thing in Blade Runner where the replicant didn't know she was real, and now you've got Alicia who doesn't know she's not real. Kendrick Sampson did such an amazing job as Max in this episode, because Max is usually kind of flirty and fun and doesn't seem to take much seriously, but now he's started down a road that, I've seen other people go down that road, and, the one person I can think of that went down that road and it ended so badly was Anakin Skywalker, where you think you're doing the right thing and, shit goes really, really wrong. I loved Kara Royster, too, as Alicia Baines. It was great seeing her back. It'll be really interesting to see her take on how she plays the character now. We only got to see Alvina August for about a second or two, the real Tasha Baines, but I liked her. Sad to see her, leave us as a character because she seemed really cool. The lady that played the witch in this episode of Supernatural, we never got her name, but she's actually appeared on Supernatural before. The actress's name is Linda Darlow, and she played Ezra Moore, the hunter who was Elliot Ness's assistant back in season 7's episode 12, Time After Time. So she's played on the good side and the bad side on Supernatural, so that's really cool. Mr. Ketch, gosh, I wish I could learn how to quit you. David Hayden Jones does such a fantastic job as this character. David, really, I gotta give you mad props, bro. 'Cause, I really, 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 really hate you. And I really wanna kiss you on the mouth, too. I hate your character, but you seem like such a sweet, funny, awesome dude. I would also like to say, just as a point of reference, and so that I don't sound completely psychotic, I'm sure that Elizabeth Blackmore, the lady who plays Lady Tony Bevel, I'm sure that Elizabeth is a lovely person. I'm sure that she's good to, small animals and kind to children and gives to charity and is kind to those around her, and I'm sure she's beloved by family and friends. So, Elizabeth, I don't want you to take it the wrong way, if you ever happen to hear this, that I hate your character so much it burns with the heat of 1,000 suns. There, I said it, and I'm not sorry. Welcome back, Elizabeth! Anyway, moving on. Next week's episode of Supernatural, there's something about Mary. We know that Mary is a captain of the Men of Letters. We know that the Men of Letters have pretty much declared war on American hunters. We're pretty sure we saw Eileen in this episode, so hopefully Eileen Leahy is back, and please let her make it to the end of the episode, and please let her and Sam kiss, because I totally ship them. Shit's getting real, folks. Okay, before I ride off into the sunset for another episode of Platinum Rose's Garden, I have some stuff that I'd like to talk to y'all about. If you would like to send me queries, comments, complaints, money, chocolate, anything like that, you can send it to platinumrosel@yahoo.com, put PRG in the header, and I will know that you have a question or a query or something, and I will totally read it on the air if you'd like me to, or answer your question, or just say hey, whichever. I am also on Twitter at platinumrosel@twitter.com. You can follow me over there, where I wax philosophical about pretty much anything that happens to be flying through my empty head at the time. You can check me out also on fanfiction.net, which is the fanfiction site. Look up Platinum Rose Lady in the search section for authors, and you can see my written work over there. I have some stuff. I hope you'll give it a look. And you can check out the other shows that I am involved with my dear, sweet, long-suffering fella TC, who is really awesome and great and neat and super cool and very smart and the brains of our outfit because I'm the cute one. We have our movie podcast, which is Subject Cinema. We are doing something very, 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 very wicked exciting for the summer, and I hope you will check it out. We are going to the drive-in all summer long, and for those of you who don't remember what a drive-in is, go ask your parents, or your grandparents. God, I'm old. But we're going to be doing a drive-in. We're going to be talking about drive-ins. There are still drive-ins out there, and we hope you'll check out our show. We have a lot of fun topics, and we're just crazy and fun and exciting. We also have Front Row 5 and 10, which is our count-up show, where we do all kinds of lists about movies and music and books and TV and all kinds of fun things like that. There is also Cavebabble, which is part of our family. That is Eric and Valerie, the Lion family. They're on a little hiatus right now, but you can check out their older shows over at cavebabble.com. They are great, super fantastic, amazing people. And speaking of amazing, oh my God, you guys, we went to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 this week. Holy spitballs, this movie is awesome. I am a comic nerd and total comic geek. And I know that there are some people out there, hi Stacy, that will be like, oh, it's great, but it doesn't follow the comics. Yes, I know that. Fuck it. I don't care. Baby Groot. I love Baby Groot. I'm sorry. I know. I'm a total, mush for anything cute. I know. Fine. I'm a woman. Deal with it. It is a great movie. It's so exciting. Bring tissues. You will need them. It's really awesome and fun and fantastic. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Check it out, check it out, check it out. And that is going to do it for me this week here at Platinum Rose's Garden. I would like to wish everybody a great week out there. Stay safe. And make sure that you hug the ones you love the ones you hug, and take some time to stop and smell the roses. Platinum Rose Lady, and I am out!
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.